Have you been thinking about starting a nonprofit? Want to know if you should? Is it worth it? What are the benefits? Well, stay tuned to learn more. Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better. Hello, 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 and welcome back to WorkHARDaholics. This is Shirley Crawford, your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, and today I've been hearing a lot of conversation. And also, when I'm consulting, I have several people who've been asking me about the almighty nonprofit. Okay, and so, an FYI, it's 501c3. But I don't want to get too far into that. I just get a little agitated when people are like the 501c. No, it's a 501c3. There's also a C4 and some other options. So today I thought I'd take a little bit of time for those of you who have great hearts or are looking to have a business that has lots of tax deductions and you've been thinking about nonprofit. I want to start off with maybe a little mini series. And so if you're hearing this information and you're like, yes, I've been waiting for this, then you have to let us know, right? Because in business, there are so many things that we could talk about, so many resources that we could bring to you. So we need to know, like, what are the ones that you're going, I really must know. That's why we always say we have that answer segment. Make sure you send your questions, your inquiries that are related to business and leadership to admin@WorkHARDAholics.com. All right, so let's go. First things first, what is a nonprofit, right? Or a not-for-profit? Keeping in mind, we have conversations about the B Corp certification. It's not the same thing as a nonprofit. Okay. So when people talk about a B Corp, which is an actual certification, it means that your business has been verified, vetted, dragged through the ringer to show that your business has a nonprofit type of heart. So if you think about the company that every time you buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes. Or you buy a pair of socks, they give a pair of socks to children in an underserved or third world country, right? Those are B Corps. They're not necessarily nonprofit organizations, right? And I always like to talk about my favorite. They used to be a nonprofit. They're not anymore. Not because they couldn't be. They removed their own designation. So when people think nonprofit, they think Salvation Army, collaboration. They think about, Girl Scouts, these organizations that are out there doing good and they're sacrificing and they're giving. But they're also, used to be anyway, the NFL. Yes, the National Football League used to be a nonprofit. And they were actually one of the greatest contributors to the communities where they served. It's the reason why every cheerleader, every player, had to be assigned to a nonprofit in the area. They had to do things in their community. They had to give back. They had to sow a certain amount of income into every region where they were. And they were a totally legit nonprofit. Now, once again, they gave up the designation, not because they couldn't keep it, because once again, they didn't want to have it. So at this point in time, you're going, okay, this seems like a big gambit of different types of organizations who are nonprofits, and they are. And so for the most part, there are lots of rules and regulations about being a nonprofit, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. But when you're first getting started, you're going, I want to give back. So I'll start with one of the organizations that I started, HEART, Helping Educate and Revitalize Through Technology, which provides computer literacy in countries such as Haiti. And we also have a very large focus on seniors. And so you go, well, how do I get designated? Do I want to get designated? Before we get into all that, I really want you to learn a little bit more about what it means to be a nonprofit. Because everyone who says they want to be a nonprofit, I'm going to tell you, you don't. A lot of times it's easier for you to just partner with an existing nonprofit organization and let them be what we call your fiscal sponsor or fiscal agent, which means that the dollars come through them. The donations can actually still be tax deductible because that's the real benefit. People give not always because they care, but because it's a tax write off. Sometimes there's a mixture of why people give, but that's one of the reasons. So it's very helpful to be able to have that nonprofit status designation, right? But is it worth it? So the question that I really want to ask you is it worth it to have a nonprofit? And you're going, I'm asking you, you don't know, you're asking me. But that's what I want you to really be thinking about. So in just a moment, I want to start going through what it means to be licensed with the United States of America through the Internal Revenue Service as a nonprofit organization. What does that mean for you? Beyond the idea of going through the process itself, just to start off with the concept of, do you want to do that? Are you wondering? Are you sitting there? You thinking? You trying to figure out, do you want to do that? Well, I'm going to say, if you really want to know, stay tuned after this commercial break, and we'll tell you. Ladies, are you looking to move your office from your kitchen table to a space of your own? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you looking for co-working and community? Well, then come join us at the Women's Business Center, RVA, located at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive, Suite 100, directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. Visit us on the web at wbcrva.com or on social media at WBCRVA.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Ladies, are you ready for an afternoon of tea, networking, and inspiration? Join us for the annual Boss Ladies Who Tea event happening on July 15th at Meadowbrook Country Club. Sip on specialty teas, connect with like-minded women, and hear from guest speakers. Tickets are available on Eventbrite, so don't wait. Just search Boss Ladies Who Tea and get your tickets today. You don't want to miss this exclusive event.
Wouldn't it be convenient and safe to communicate with your dentist, pediatrician, medical doctor, or mental health professional anywhere you are without actually traveling to our medical centers?
Well, you can with a televisit at your local Capital Area Health Network. Call us at 780-0840 or go to cahealthnet.org. Find out how a televisit may be your best option. We are the Capital Area Health Network, the heart of the community.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Once again, you are tuned in, watching, or listening to the WorkHARDAholic Show with the original WorkHARDAholic, Shirley Crawford. Okay, so today what we've been discussing is about nonprofit organizations, right? And so the question that I want to start off with, do you really want to start or have a nonprofit organization? Okay, so here's the deal. Something that most people don't seem to know or understand is that when I started Second Chance Consulting, which is an LLC, I own that outright. Period. Like, that's the end of the story. I own it. I have to admittedly keep my filings with the SEC, file my taxes with the IRS, make sure that I'm paying, all the things I need to pay and keeping everything legit and above board, but it's mine. Like, it's total ownership. When you start a nonprofit, you don't own it. It's not yours. You can run it, put your money into it, put your house up and take the escrow or whatever, not the escrow. You can take whatever monies from that and put it into your business. You could sell your car to finance your nonprofit and still you don't own it. As a matter of fact, when you are writing up the documentation in your articles of incorporation, which must be filed to get your nonprofit, if you send in your application and you don't have this caveat, this statement that says In case of that the organization is dissolved, you have to say that it will either go back to the state to manage, or it has to go to another nonprofit organization. It is not something that you can leave as a legacy to your children or to your community. You can't. It has to either go back to the state government for it to decide what happens with it, or it has to go to another nonprofit organization. You don't own it. And so with entrepreneurs, this is a really touchy subject, because a lot of times, right, we put our blood, our sweat, our tears into bringing these things to life, and then to know that it takes next to nothing for it no longer to be yours. These are the things I need you to think about before you even start the process of having a 501c3, a 501c4, a 501c7, whatever it is. I need you to know before you get started, do you even want to? Now, keeping in mind, I come from the lens that I manage 3 different nonprofit organizations. All right. So this is not you shouldn't, but you should do your research, which is why you're tuned in now. Right. Another thing to know is you can start a nonprofit and be kicked out of your own nonprofit. All those bad movies that you see when someone's like, how did you take my company away from me? It happens very easily in a nonprofit, right? So when you're starting a nonprofit, you don't own it. It's not yours. You manage, you run, right? So first you have to get through the process of being accepted as a nonprofit by the IRS. And there's some criteria there with regards to, are you doing education? Are you doing things that benefit the community? What percentage of all that you're doing is going back into the communities? I'm not getting into all that right now. I really just want you to understand you don't own it. It's not yours. Do you still want to start it? Considering that most entrepreneurs consider their businesses to be their babies, are you willing to know that you're fostering this baby as opposed to really being the parent? And that at any given time, the real parents can come and snatch it away. I want you to think about that. The other aspect of that is, as I was saying before, you can be voted off the island. And so when you are creating and developing an organization that's going to become a nonprofit, a lot of people think, oh, well, I want so-and-so on my board, and I want 20 people on my board, and I want all these influential people. Here is the thing. At any point in time, those influential people who are on your board of directors can say, we don't want you to run it anymore. Furthermore, if it's a majority vote, they can vote you off the board. And really, the federal government has it set up so that they don't want you to create it so that you can't be voted off. That's the way they want you to create it, so that the board can decide at any time to remove you. And most board terms in general are 2 to 3 years. And there's a reason for that. But the point that I want you to have right now is, when you're putting your heart out there to say, I want to create this nonprofit organization, I need you to really think about, is that really what you want? Keeping in mind, as I said before, you don't own it, and you can just as easily be removed from an organization that you started. So as you're thinking and considering about whether or not a nonprofit is the right answer for you, think about the purpose that you're trying to do. Keep in mind that, yes, you can go out and start that nonprofit. And right now, it's less expensive than it's ever been before to start that process. But if you think it's something that you're like, this is really a part of me and I never want it to be taken away, then you might want to consider a B Corp. You might want to consider fiscal sponsorship, which I mentioned before, which means partnering with an existing nonprofit and letting them be the financial advisor who receives the funds for grants that might come in, who can actually manage to give tax deductions for donations that people make to your organization. I just need you to know that you thought it all the way through. And if you decide that, hey, I'm taking this chance, I really love it, then you can be like I am and start your nonprofit and run it and manage it and make sure that you're following the regulations so that you don't lose it. But in the meantime, before you get started, it's always best to research and understand before you move forward. All right. That's what we wanted to share about the things you might want to know before you start a nonprofit. We have some other things we want to share with you. So stay tuned after this commercial break.
Level up your business with the art of video. Join Power Up and IML Studios at the upcoming iPhone Videography Workshop. Edit like a pro with Canva Video. Discover iPhone settings, filming basics, and capturing content. Master video with interactive workshops and boost your business. Convert viewers into clients. Ready to level up your videos? Join us June 10th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. PowerUpVideo.com. Click Workshops.
Hey there, I am Rita Ricks, principal of Rita Ricks LLC. We are spiritual and mental health coaches, showing women and young adults how to remove the barriers preventing them from creating the life they were born to live. Once those barriers are eliminated, they find the peace, purpose, and passion to achieve what they truly want in life. Contact us today at ritaricks.com because this is your time.
During these challenging times, Richmond Dentistry for Children wants to remind you that we've been here for you and your children for over 25 years. Your child's body is their temple and their teeth are the doorway to good health. We provide compassionate pediatric dental care Monday through Friday. Call 804-780-2888 for your appointment or come to our office at 300 West Broad Street. RichmondDentistryForChildren.com, serving Central Virginia. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lawrence Roberts with Financial News You Can Use. Again, I have another letter I'd like to share with you because these letters are very important. This is another way to get your questions answered. I'm going to go ahead and read through this letter and paraphrase it because I could tell this gentleman here, his name is Christopher, he just recently lost his, had a death in the family. And I could tell he probably was up late at night writing this letter and it bothers him still just to think about it. Because one of the things with him in this letter here, he's married, he has 3 kids, he's 42 years old, and he never really paid much attention to any type of investments or anything. Okay. Also, he had a close friend who passed. And when I say close friends, it really was probably sound like it might have been a family member that passed away. And when that person passed, they were scrambling. These are my words though, but they were scrambling because funeral expenses, worrying about paying the bills and family expenses and everything. Well, some people might say, no, that's just life insurance. Some people might say it's investments. But you know what? It's all the same. Because when that time comes, if something happens to you, you don't want your family worried about how they're going to pay their bills. You don't want your wife or your loved one to take and bury you today, 9 o'clock in the morning, because they have to go to work at 1 o'clock. That's a tough feeling to be in. It's a tough place to be. So reality, yes, Christopher, I would recommend starting with life insurance because also Christopher asks, do I need a lot of money to get started? No. And I say that, Christopher, because several things. Life insurance, what's different about investing with life insurance is that you have to qualify, meaning you have to be in good health, Christopher. You have to be able to pass that background as far as health check, okay? Whereas investing in straight money, all you need is some dead presidents. The more dead presidents you have, the more you're able to invest. However, Christopher, understand this. The difference between the two is this. Life insurance, it does not cost a whole lot to get a lot in the end if you pass away. Investments is what you put into it, how they perform, how they grow, will yield the results at the end. And it takes time. You're not going to put money in there today and expect instant gratification and a whole lot of money like that right away, because it's not going to happen, Christopher. Anybody who tells you, hey, this is the greatest investment out there. Invest in this one, you'll get a lot of money back. Run. Okay? So I'm going to take it like 101 level right here, Christopher, okay? Because one of the things we talk about when you talk about investing, there's 3 different areas when you talk about. I'm going to go ahead and read it that way, how can I say, I don't miss anything, all right? There's 3 different areas when you talk about asset allocation, spreading your money out. How do I want to diversify my money, Christopher? 1, equities. Equities, all right? Equities make the asset, which is your money, how your pile of money, your group of money, or whatever you want to call it, grow. The equities make your asset allocation more aggressive. The more aggressive it is, which is the more risk you're taking on, okay? And equity is direct ownership of a company, the value of which can go up or down over time based on a number of factors, okay? Fixed income. Let's be real, Christopher. We all like something that's going to grow regardless of what the market does. That's good to have. It's a balance, okay? Cash. Enough said there. Cash. Dead presidents, cash. You want cash on the books, cash on the balance sheet. You want it to grow. Christopher, this is just a one-on-one level. I still would highly, highly recommend you come and talk to a professional such as myself, because this is just that scraping the bottom level 101. Again, I'm Lawrence Roberts with financial news you can use. I can be reached at 804-746-3714. You can also go to my website at www.lawrencevroberts.com. Again, this is financial news you can use.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. All right, once again, you are watching or listening to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your favorite WorkHARDaholic, the original WorkHARDAholic, Shirley Crawford. Today's conversation, we've been talking about whether or not you want to start a nonprofit and things you should consider. I would be more than happy to continue that conversation, to tell you more about how you get it started, things you should know. If you're interested in that, then write us in, drop us a message, DM us. You know the whole routine. On social media, we can be found at WorkHARDAholic. All right. So right now, there are a couple of things that I want to talk about because I listen when you all speak. And I've heard a couple people say they missed the word for the week. And they're like, where's our book it moment? So we're going to make sure we share a couple things with you all. And first and foremost, we're going to go with our word for the week. For those of you who don't know, just a geek, love words. And even more so, the reason we started having the whole word for the week was because a lot of times we get into these, let's just say, heated discussions, and only to realize that a word was misunderstood or a word was placed incorrectly someplace. And so we like to make sure we're all on the same page in our communication. All right. So our word for this week is indubitably. I love this word, if you haven't gathered. Like, indubitably. And all it means is certainly. I mean, in all honesty, you could just say certainly. But for some reason, indubitably sounds so much better, doesn't it? Indubitably, it does. All right. So don't you all worry. We're bringing back the word for the week for you all. Once again, we are a station, a group that listens. So if you're saying, hey, there's something I want to know, there's information I want, just let us know and we'll bring it on back. All right. On that note, I want to mention our book it moment for this week. Right now, the next book I am reading is Leap Off the Ladder by Morgan Chavis. She came into the studio a few weeks ago, and so we're going to read that one next. But right now, the one that I have been really enjoying, I'm always surprised by some authors and how much I enjoy them. This one is called Everyone's a Coach. It's by Ken Blanchard and Don Shula. And so I want to share a couple pieces from it because it was pretty darn good, right? So this is Don Shula's favorite saying. Success is not forever and failure isn't fatal. I'm going to say it again and not stumble across it. Success is not forever and failure isn't fatal. As an entrepreneur, when we go through things, we feel like it's the end of the world. This is happening. What are we going to do? But a lot of times, that old song, that old adage, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, it fits. It really does. Okay, so I'm going to quickly try to go through this because you can pick up your own copy. A lot of times when I get a book, it's coming from my library, and it might be that it's been in my library for some time and I might not have ever picked it up or read it, or I'm going back through and remembering how great or wonderful a book is. So this copy is from 1995, right? And so, yeah, Everyone's Coach, 5 Business Secrets for High Performance Coaching. It really is quite exceptional. Okay, so I want to share this part. And so this is Don Shula, and he says, I don't know where I heard it, but that saying on the previous page, the one I just read to you, has guided my thinking for a long time. It reminds me to keep a long-range perspective on things, to hold the big picture, and to go for the long run. So Don Shula, as far as coaching, actually does coach. And so when we're talking about entrepreneurship, it's so easy to focus on what's right in front of you. If you are an entrepreneur and you don't have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, if you don't have a goal, we always talk about quantifiable goals. If all you have is this short-sighted idea of reacting to whatever drama comes your way, you're not going to stay in business long, or you're going to get really burnt out because you're not going to feel like you're fulfilling your purpose. You're not completing your passion, right? Because all you're doing is going one step, one step, one step, one step, and you're never even measuring the level of your success. You're not honoring how persistent you were to get to where you are. You're just going, oh, this is what today is. All right. That's why people get burnt out so quickly. And then they had a quote from Ken Blanchard. For those of you who don't know, Ken Blanchard is the one who did the 1 Minute Manager. We've reviewed that book before. And it's actually very helpful when it's time to like break down your goals into like bite-sized pieces and get things accomplished, right? And so he says that when the 1 Minute Manager was published in 1982, it began a success spiral that included 3 years on the New York Times bestseller list, 1 million copies sold. And for the first time in his life, he was experiencing success. And they became like overnight success, in the business world, overnight celebrities. And they had 2 choices. The first one was to take all of the credit and to assume that they were the best writers and the most insightful thinkers, better than everyone else, and the book was a success because of talent. Or the second choice was to follow the path of wonderment. Why had this happened to us? And what could I learn from it? By taking the second path, they began to observe the impact that success and failure have on people. So I share that to say, you can't get caught up in the wonderment of this is what happened, this is what occurred. But you really have to think to yourself, why? Why did this occur? Why is WorkHARDAholic such a wonderful show? It's because I'm so brilliant and so amazing. It's because Christina is the best camera person we've ever had in our entire lives. Or is there something else going on? All those things are true, mind you. Well, what are the other things that are going on? What are the other things that are happening? What's happening behind the scenes? As an entrepreneur, never lose your curiosity, never lose your why. And the moment that you think that you're the best in the room at all times, that's when you stop achieving. That's when you stop growing. That's when you stop moving. We don't want you to get stagnant. We want you to keep growing. Okay, speaking of growing, we are firm believers in sharing resources and information to help you do just that. So I want to point out a couple things to you. June 10th, from 10 to 3, I will be at this. There's a workshop for those of you who are trying to start that podcast, working on doing videos, and you're not ready to invest in the pricey equipment that Christina has in the studio. There's an iPhone videography workshop. It'll be held at the Power Up Studio. And of course, our very wise and witty Christina from Imagine Media Lab will also be over there as part of it. They're partnering together. So that's going to be amazing. Please make sure you catch that. And I know you heard it already in the commercial break, but I want to point out the Boss Ladies Who Tea event is happening July 15th, not whatever date I said last week, July 15th from 2 to 5 at the Meadowbrook Country Club. You can go to wbcrva.com to find more ticket information. So I want to make sure we share that with you. Okay, that's all the time that we have for today. So I want to make sure that we say, as we always do, live better, do better, be better, and happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. 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 Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDAholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDAholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.